Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, interesting article here, interesting statements coming from a journalist. And let's get it on. It's from Russia Today, and it's from today, August the 8th, 2023. Russian soldiers, quote-unquote, not human, says Kiev military spokesperson. Remarks by transgender journalist Sarah Ashton Cirillo have sparked a social media firestorm. Russian soldiers drastically differ from Ukrainian service members because they are not human, according to an American transgender journalist recently appointed as an official spokesperson for Kiev's territorial defense forces. So, on Saturday, this is the person right here. On Saturday, Sarah Ashton Cirillo posted a 21-second clip on X, formerly Twitter, in which she is seen standing in front of a cardboard cutout of a Russian soldier, pointing at the figure. The spokesperson asks, and I'm quoting, "Do you know the difference between us and them?" End quote. While Ukrainians, and I'm quoting, are fighting for freedom, end quote, Russians, and I'm quoting her, are fighting for tyranny and dictatorship, end quote, Ashton Cirillo claimed, adding that the most distinctive feature is, and I'm quoting, pretty simple. We are human and those guys most definitely aren't, end quote, she said, concluding the speech with a slogan, "Glory to Ukraine," end quote. The video did not sit well with many social media users, with some describing it as a quote-unquote shockingly unpleasant and quote-unquote absolutely disgusting, end quote. Well, what can you do? So, on Sunday, Ashton Cirillo released a separate clip mocking Russian paratroopers as she hung the same figure of the soldier upside down by tying a rope to its ankles. Ashton Cirillo said she was celebrating Russian Paratroopers Day, which falls on August 2nd. Ashton Cirillo, who was born Michael Cirillo and came out as transgender in 2019, traveled to Ukraine in March 2022, shortly after the start of the conflict, first working as a reporter and then enlisting as combat medic. The journalist now hosts the state-sponsored news program Russia Hates the Truth, end quote, which claims to combat, and I'm quoting, Russian propaganda. The spokesperson's remark came after a string of similar statements by Ukrainian officials. Last week, Alexei Danilov, the head of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, claimed the Russians are, and I'm quoting, Asians, end quote, and that the key difference between them and Ukrainians is, quote-unquote, humanity. Mikhail Podolyak, an advisor to the chief of President Vladimir Zelensky's office, said in June that the only plan for Ukraine's much-hyped counteroffensive was, and I'm quoting, the maximum killing of Russians, end quote. Moscow has claimed that Ukraine has failed to gain any ground while suffering, quote-unquote, catastrophic, end quote, losses, estimating them to be more than 43,000 service members since the start of the operation in early June. Moscow has for years voiced outrage over rampant Russophobia in Ukraine, arguing that Kiev has turned it into a state-sanctioned policy. Ukraine has passed laws severely restricting the use of the Russian language in education, media, and everyday life. So, very tolerant, and I use whatever he or she identify is, because it's very strange. When I meet a person, how do you, what are the first words that you utter? Mention your name, how are you, blah, 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 what do you do, and so on. You don't say, you know what, I like to, blondes or something, or I like this kind of a kinky sex toy, or I'm this or that. In that realm, sexuality is not an important thing for us. or if I identify as this or that. For some people, that is a very important thing. That's why I placed that in the title of this video, because I know that some like that and they're very proud of it, and good for them. So I indulged and I did that. So what do you think? Are Russians not human? According to Cyrillo, well, let me put it this way. I think people who, it depends what, you see, what humanity is. Now, obviously, humanity means, civilization and so on, showing, empathy, sympathy, being kind and nice and civilized, all right, in that way. But that is really not what we are in essence. You will see that when we are put in conflict with one another, then humanity goes out the window and we kick in as what we are, animals. Obviously, I'm being a little bit harsh, but some people, even not put under that kind of circumstances or pressure, are, I don't want to say not human. We're all human. It's just that we act very close to a beast. And I don't think that only some Russians act like that. I think we all act like that under certain kind of circumstances. And I have to say that I'm pretty sure, I'm convinced actually. Why? Because of the human nature, that there are some Ukrainian warriors over there who, pushed to a certain extreme, will act as beasts, and probably as we might act as beasts if we are pushed to an extreme. And then we would be called, according to Cyrillo, not human. But that's part of humanity, being a beast, actually. It's just our basic form. Well, we show that we are better than a beast by using our senses and our brain. That's the most important thing. Senses doing good. Let's put it this way. Animals usually rarely do good. They do it when they have to save their offspring, but that's about it. Or maybe save their skin, but that's not doing good. That's saving your skin. We are capable of doing good in a broader sense of doing that. But anyway, I disagree with Cyrillo, and I think that's very dangerous. And I think that the Ukrainians should do not promote this person and hire this kind of person who makes this kind of videos. I am for freedom of speech. But if you say on one hand that you are a democratic country and you have better values than the other guys, talking like that, I don't think that makes that point. On the contrary. I'm all for freedom of speech, but I'm also for recognizing when speech is imbecilic, or when speech is this and that, and should be called that way. I don't want that person to happen anything negative to that person. But if the Ukrainians think that those statements are accurate and they should be promoted, that's their business. But on the other hand, we can look at them and we can characterize them as such, right? Good statements? No, I think imbecilic statements. Just to stop there, I can say more. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.